Hi friends! Shall we begin the fourth episode of Infinite Korean History? The second part of our story on King Geunchogo of Baekje, which is the first shining star of the Korean peninsula. We are exploring 5 stories to understand Baekje's golden age and King Geunchogo. First, we saw how Baekje embraced advanced culture of Hansagun. Second, we looked at how King Goi of Baekje laid the nation's foundation. Now, let's move quickly to the third story. The third story of King Geunchogo. Wa. Wa is the ancient name for Japan. Historically, Korea and Japan haven't always been on good terms, but there was a time when they were exceptionally close friends. Those friends were Baekje and Wa. And at the center of it all was King Geunchogo. What on earth happened?
Please accept this. It's a gift.
I expected as much. I've prepared quite a lot for you too.
In 346, our protagonist, King Geunchogo, ascended the throne. He became king after a fierce struggle with his rivals. There were many competitors because both the king's brothers and sons could be successors. Once he became king, Geunchogo gave a thunderous command. From then on, only the king's sons could inherit the throne.
I will no longer tolerate any disputes over the succession.
Having settled internal chaos, King Geunchogo believed he had to show his strength to the outside world as well. There were still many southern nations that looked down on Baekje. King Geunchogo began to attack the small and large states in the Ban and Kaya regions. This sudden attacks by the Baekje army shocked the surrounding countries.
When did they become so strong?
The Kaya states held a meeting to find a way to stop Baekje's attack. However, finding no clear solution, they decided to surrender.
Even if we all join forces, it's hard to stand against Baekje.
King Geunchogo was delighted to receive their surrender without a hard fight and gave them gifts. The Kaya people's eyes widened. They were advanced goods they had never seen before. They couldn't stop marveling at Baekje's technology.
We must quickly embrace their culture to develop our own nation.
Across the sea, the people of Wa were also shocked by this news. Wa also desperately needed advanced technology to grow. They immediately dispatched envoys to Baekje.
Could what the Kaya people said be true?
Let's pray for it earnestly.
When King Geunchogo met the envoys, he smiled. In exchange for advanced technology, he received an amazing proposal. Wa would send its army whenever Baekje needed it. For King Geunchogo, sharing technology was not difficult, so it was a fantastic deal. So King Geunchogo gladly accepted Wa's request.
I needed more soldiers anyway. I must make the most of this opportunity.
With Wa as a reliable friend, King Geunchogo immediately began wars to expand his territory. Wa sent its army as promised.
Fight hard to be of great help to Baekje.
Will you still not surrender?
Thanks to this, Baekje expanded its territory from the Han River region all the way down to present-day Jeollanam-do. Jeollado was essential land for Baekje, as it was a breadbasket region where massive amounts of grain were produced. Now, the southern part of the Korean peninsula was under Baekje's control. King Geunchogo must have been very fond of Wa for their constant support. Perhaps that's why Baekje and Wa remained close friends until the very moment Baekje fell. The fourth story of King Geunchogo. The borderline. The line between nations is called a borderline. Having pushed out the Lalang and Daifang commanderies, Goguryeo now shared a border with Baekje. Tension filled the air between the northern powerhouse, Goguryeo, and the rising star Baekje. What was the result of their inevitable clash?
You've grown a lot while I wasn't looking.
Save your breath and back off.
Around this time, Goguryeo was in a very difficult situation. King Gogugon's pride had been deeply wounded. This was because a Chinese state called Former Yan had attacked Goguryeo. It caused massive damage to the capital of Goguryeo. Even the king's mother and wife were taken prisoner, and the invaders even dug up the king's father's grave and took his body. King Gogugon needed a breakthrough to overcome this crisis. After deep thought, he decided to attack Baekje. He wanted to stop Baekje's growing power and seize the fertile lands of the south.
I have no choice but to advance south.
While Baekje was preoccupied with its southern conquests, the king of Goguryeo attacked Baekje with 20,000 soldiers. King Geunchogo was shocked when he noticed this. He quickly ordered his son, Crown Prince Geunchogo, to block the attack of Goguryeo. Arriving at the battlefield, the prince was flustered. The Goguryeo army was larger than expected.
I didn't expect the Goguryeo army to be this large. This won't be easy.
While he was sighing in deep thought back at the Baekje camp,
A man named Soggy is asking to see the prince.
Soggy was originally from Baekje. One day, he accidentally injured the horse the king rode. Fearing punishment, Soggy fled to Goguryeo. Now he had suddenly returned, offering to reveal the weaknesses of the Goguryeo army.
I know the weakness of the Goguryeo army.
Everyone suspected him of being a spy, but the prince decided to listen to him. He felt he had nothing to lose.
The Goguryeo army looks large, but most of them are untrained. If you focus your attack on the elite troops carrying red flags, you can easily win. I stake my life on this.
Prince Geunchogo decided to trust Soggy's confident attitude. In truth, the prince had no other plan to defeat the Goguryeo forces. The next day, the battle began. Looking at the Goguryeo camp, there were indeed units carrying red flags. They wore sturdy armor and held sharp weapons. The prince gained confidence.
Concentrate all attacks on the units with red flags.
Under Baekje's focused assault, the Goguryeo army crumbled helplessly. Something no one expected had happened. Yes, that's right. Baekje had won. A short while after his humiliating defeat, King Gogugon attacked again. But he was no match for the confident Baekje army. Finally, the army led by King Geunchogo advanced toward Pyeongyangsong fortress. Baekje attacked fiercely, but the resistance from the Goguryeo army, led personally by King Gogugon, was strong. At that moment, a decisive event occurred. King Gogugon was struck by an arrow and killed.
I can't believe I got hit by an arrow.
As this unexpected event unfolded, King Geunchogo stopped the attack and turned his horse around. He felt he had sent a sufficient warning to Goguryeo.
They won't dare look down on Baekje ever again.
Thus, the war between Baekje and Goguryeo ended in a perfect victory for Baekje. From this point on, the two nations became sworn enemies. This is why later kings of Goguryeo, like Gwanggyeokto the Great and King Jangsu, viewed Baekje as their ultimate foe. The fifth story of King Geunchogo. 제주도. Now, Baekje had become the strongest nation on the peninsula. It also reached the highest level of culture. There is a symbolic artifact that shows Baekje's cultural excellence. A sword called the Clkick, which has 7 pointed branches. The Clkick is currently kept in the Imperial Treasury of Japan. Why is the sword made by Baekje in Japan? It's because King Geunchogo gave it to the King of Wa as a symbol of friendship.
I have prepared a gift that symbolizes our deep friendship.
My goodness, I have never seen such a beautiful sword.
These details are recorded clearly on the Clkick itself. The king of Baekje gives this sword to the king of Wa. Since no such fine sword has existed before, pass this on to future generations. The Clkick was a product that boasted Baekje's advanced technology, because Wa did not possess such technology at the time. Let's look at how difficult it was to make. First, iron blocks were melted in fire, and the heated iron was hammered thin. The thin iron was folded in half, hammered thin again, and folded once more. This process was repeated countless times. Then, the iron was cut into the shape of a sword. But that wasn't the end. Letters had to be engraved. Grooves were carefully carved into the sword in the shape of characters. Then gold threads were carefully pressed into those grooves. Only through such a complex process could the Clkick be created. It was technology the Japanese had never seen before. Besides the Clkick, Baekje sent many advanced goods and brilliant scholars as promised. Thanks to this, Wa was able to develop into a strong state.
They're teaching us such wonderful technology.
Starting from the Han River region, Baekje rose to become the peninsula's cultural powerhouse. King Geunchogo's choice to gain military power by sharing advanced culture with Wa was a stroke of genius. It was the driving force behind the conquest of Man and the victory over Goguryeo. King Geunchogo was a leader with such excellent international sense.
Everyone looks up to our Baekje.
Please teach us more of your advanced technology.
Now, Baekje dispatched envoys to China to announce that they were the rulers of the Korean peninsula.
Let us be friends as well.
In this way, Baekje, which opened its golden age ahead of Goguryeo and Silla, shone brilliantly as the star of East Asia during King Geunchogo's era. So, how was it? Did you enjoy our journey through Baekje's golden age? Next time, I will tell you about the great conqueror who led Goguryeu's golden age after Baekje, Hwanggae-to the Great. There are many exciting stories to come, so stay tuned in the channel. See you in the next episode. Bye!